Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to another video. Boozer here. Hope you guys are doing well. Today's video we're going to be talking about Nari the Lucky. So Nari the Lucky was a fusion back in March of 2022. So over a year ago. I did the fusion and when I saw the kit it was kind of unique. So let's go over to champion. When I saw the fusion it was kind of unique in that there wasn't any skills like Nari at that time. Mainly his decreased accuracy, decreased resistance. So 100% when fully booked, 3 turn cooldowns and AoE. And then, I thought it was like, oh, this champion maybe has some potential, especially against like Hydra and stuff like that. So in March, Hydra is still relatively new and we weren't too sure what to make of it. He's defense-based champion. He has good defense stats. He's pretty quick. His A1, he's got a steal. His provoke has a steal on it, and then he has a provoke with the counterattack placed on himself. So he has an interesting kit, but there are some things about him that weren't that great, but I personally thought he was going to be great, but no one really covered this guy. So I actually booked him out over a year ago, like after I fused him, and I was intending on using him, but I never got around to using him, so I never found a reason to use him. But now I pulled a 5-star blessing for this guy. I pulled a 5-star blessing for this guy, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna freaking use him finally, after all this time with books and everything. So I just decided to like force him into a team, make him work. I never really needed him to work, but I just kind of figured, how am I going to make this kit work, right? In Hydra, this move decrease accuracy, decrease resistance, so that basically boosts your team resistance and boosts your team accuracy technically, right? That's what it means. So it allows your team with less stats, so you can run higher difficulty if you want, so it's a little bit less stat intensive on your team. Or if you have members that are like kind of on the edge of like requirements, then this really helps. His A1, it helps with stealing stuff. I mean, we've had other champions with this similar type move. It's not anything special, but of course it's going to be really good for Hydra once in a while. And then obviously the AoE provoke is going to be useful against Hydra because of the head of decay. You can provoke them now. It is on a 4-turn cooldown, so it's not the best in terms of like uptime, but as a backup, not too bad. And it has a self-buffing counterattack, which makes this Nari a good mischief candidate. And this passive, as I read it when I fused him, I was like, oh, this guy's going to be good for Hydra. Because he has this steal and re-steal type passive, which is kind of cool, right? Anyways, I thought he was going to be a decent Hydra champion, so I figured I'd use him, book him out, but never used him in the end. Here I got him with Brimstone, 60% chance with Brimstone. It's protected. It is protected on level 5, so it's kind of like the original 1-star Brimstone, which we all miss. Anyways, this is my build. Like, he's geared out. He's geared up to perform, right? I got him to basically perform like in brutal. That's where I'm gonna put him at, because I don't think he can do nightmare. He just doesn't do enough. If you have a provoke set, I think a provoke set might be okay. He has 2 AoEs, so a provoke set might be okay. Although not ideal, because sometimes an AoE A1 is the most ideal for provoke. It doesn't matter about the A2 or A3. And the other thing you must have on this champion is probably resistance. So you must have resistance on him because he places counterattack on himself, so he's going to be a target very often. You notice some of my gear is not fully rolled up. Don't want to like gear him out too much, but he's not fully rolled up. Doesn't really matter. I put refresh on him so he can get back to his AoE cooldown skills, get down to his skills faster, mainly this provoke one. Masteries, no masteries on him, so he's very, I have books which really help his cooldowns, but no masteries, so it's kind of like not a full, he's not at his maximum potential, I'll say that right now. So then you guys can be the judge of how good he is. And then I have Brimstone, and then this is actually a pretty big buff because the 60% to land gives him quite a bit of damage. But yeah, you guys can be the judge of how good he is. This is the application I have him in. So let's go to the team I got him in. Let's go 1 second here. All right, so this is the team I got him in. This is for Bruto Hydra. I think this team can probably do Nightmare if you get some decent RNG. So basically, I have him set up as like a backup provoker. He's gonna be obviously not like a full-time provoker because he has a 4-turn cooldown. But I have him with Relentless and Refresh, so he can, you know, somewhat keep up his provoke abilities or AoE abilities more often. And then I have him with Husk, which is a great has an A1 chance for provoke. So we got 2 backup provokers. We no provoke sets on anybody here. And yeah, so this is the team I got. You guys can be the judge of how good it is. I mean, you know, it's a good it's a good team. You don't necessarily need Cardiel in the lead. Cardiel's just here for healing. You could run the Rabbit. Rabbit's actually very good. And you don't necessarily need 2 Hanorok here either. She's here as kind of like Torment Insurance, attack down. She's not really here for any specific use. Like you could have Mithrala here, would be totally fine. Extra support, extra healing. So that's kind of like, so these 2 spots are pretty flex. Max HP damage, and then Mishinaki can be any damage dealer. Ugo, obviously MVP epic for Hydra. Yeah, you could use like Geomancer here. You can use, you know, Shamael or whatever. So basically, like you have 2 DPS, Ugo, and then you have 3 supports, and that's a pretty standard Hydra team nowadays. At least for me, that's what I kind of run. If you're feeling confident, you can run 3 DPS, 2 supports only. So yeah. Anyways, let's start the run, and yeah, we'll talk through some of it. You guys can be a judge of how strong this team is. So I'm going to start off trying to provoke the Head of Decay, because Husk is obviously has the A1 provoke, so nothing lands. 2 Hanorok's going to land the block buffs on everybody. Well, it didn't work out that way. Here comes the provoke. First thing I noticed right away, weak hits. So that's really bad about the Nari, is that obviously Nari is weak hitting against this particular rotation for the Decay, which really sucks. It's going to make his effectiveness much worse. Landing on a debuff. Luckily I got the block buffs up, so no poison cloud. Alright, we did land provoke with Husk, so the second backup actually landed it, so really lucky there. Alright, let's see what he can do with the decreased defense and decreased resistance. It's kind of nice. You don't see that very often, the decreased resistance, meaning that even low accuracy champions will be able to land their debuffs. This could help for, like, you know, Brimstone. Maybe you have a champion with Brimstone that only has like lower accuracy. The other thing that's really good about Nari is that he has the 60% Brimstone, which is a ton of damage, and because it's protected, we forget how good the original Brimstone was. The original protected Brimstone was just absolutely insane. So you see here, the backup provoker gets the provoke again, so we don't want this to be a Husk showcase, but we're going to try to see if Nari can earn his spot here. Defense base, so it's easy to keep him alive. No buffs to steal so far, so that's a good thing. But he does have the steal ability. Alright. Backup gets the provoke again. Alright. Let's see. Mishinaki dishing it out. Mishinaki is such an insane champion for Hydra. No need for the provoke. Let's land some decreased accuracy, decreased resistance. Decreased accuracy is actually really helpful. Especially for like reducing damage from like poison, reducing the heal reduction, reducing all that like provokes and stuff. It's actually really useful. In terms of decreased resistance, unless your team is like very borderline, you're not going to find too much use for decreased resistance, I think, because you don't want a team that relies on it. And if you have, yeah, you don't want a team that relies on it basically. Okay, so the A3 landed to provoke that time. Yeah, it's when I was using him for this rotation, I forgot about the affinity for decay, so not the best spot for Nari here. But he's doing all right. He's doing all right. He's doing all right. He's keeping pace. I think maybe he'll find some spots to speed it up here a little bit. All right. So later on, he does get a spot. He does get an opportunity to steal buffs or take buffs off, which is actually really good. All right. So far, keeping the head of decay under control, even just with Husk and backup and Nari. But he broke free now, but he's already pretty low, so. Husk attacked 3 times, couldn't provoke him. Pretty funny. Really lucky timing on that. Another weak hit. But yeah, so that's kind of how it goes. Yeah, we just have to see how well he does. He's going to be weak affinity against decay here, so it's not going to be the best showcase for him. So, but yeah, I'm going to speed it up, and then you guys can enjoy. Alright, nearing the end of the run now. Pretty insane run in terms of like just overall time and stuff. Almost 250 turns, which is really insane. This is brutal, and I mean we probably are doing pretty well in terms, like, it's not a big thing, but to do brutal for my account. Yeah, I mean it gives Nari a lot of playtime, and I played through this whole match myself. So there it is, 93 million damage on brutal. Like, we don't have like Krisk or anything, or like any kind of insane protection champion. Obviously, 200 Rock and Cardio are very strong protection champions, but beyond that, we have Mishnaki. Like, we have two defense-based champions, Husk and Ugo. You see Mishnaki here just pumping out the damage, just insane champion. Husk, obviously, no slouch himself, 28 million damage. Cardio actually doing pretty good amount of damage with his passive, where he attacks periodically with your whole team. Ugo actually doing okay damage as well, without just with War Master. Cardio also has War Master on. 200 Rock also has War Master on. So you can kind of see 200 Rock and Ugo have similar damage output. So Nari with no masteries and just Brimstone, this is the damage he gets from Brimstone. If he had War Master, he probably gets another couple million on top because of the duration of this run. So Nari Lucky actually does not too bad. Obviously the Brimstone is all the damage. But yeah, that's kind of like his thing. I mean, like, Verdict, honestly, what would you bring Nari the Lucky in for? If he's going to be a provoker, you're going to bring a better provoker, a dedicated provoker. Okay, so he's not a provoker. So what about Mischief Tank? He can be a Mischief Tank for sure, but so can anybody with the Blood Shield accessory. You can bring someone with the Blood Shield ring, and then they can be your provoker. Give them resistance, they can be your provoker. Does his counterattack matter? No, because if your team is built properly, you don't need to steal back buffs. But obviously the steal back buff passive and his A1 are useful in Hydra. Nice insurance. Okay, so he's not Mischief Tank. So that kind of leaves him with his decrease resistance and decrease accuracy AoE. How useful is that for this champion? So how useful is that? Like I said, if you have a team based around decreased resistance, that means your team is probably under geared in normal circumstances. And if this move fails, or if Nari's eaten or somehow, incapacitated, unable to place this debuff, then your team won't function properly. So relying on decreased resistance just isn't a good strategy. So that's why it's not going to work here. Decreased accuracy can be good because it protects your team from debuffs. That's great. But you know what other champions have decreased accuracy? Geomancer. Basically one of the most insane epic champions for Hydra, which is easier to book. He's a better champion. He's offered probably better team support because he reduces incoming damage than Nari. So when you boil down his kit, like, I never really thought about it too much before I booked them out. Probably in one of those crazy CVCs I booked them out thinking I would use them, but I didn't really boil it down like that. But when you boil it down, this champion really doesn't have a spot really anywhere right now. And any decreased resistance champion, they need to have irresistible or does not require accuracy on this champion's end for it to be viable, in my opinion. So unfortunately for me, I don't think Nari is going to be very good anywhere at this moment, and he's definitely not going to be used on my account very often. So the reason why I actually put him into work was actually because I got the 5-star Brimstone for him. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try him out. Why not? And obviously Brimstone's very good. So does he make the cut because of Brimstone? Maybe. Like, I could have put like Bivold. Like, I have a Bivold. Bivold brings so much more to Hydra. He brings heals, shields, you know, and irresistible, basically irresistible, not irresistible, but non-weak hitting provoke A1, non-weak hitting provoke A1, and then A2. Just an insane champion for Hydra, for a provoker. Like, you can just bring this guy and he does the same thing. Like, actually he does a million times better than this guy. So unfortunately for me, like, my assessment is like Nari Lucky is just, yeah, probably one of my biggest regrets in terms of book expenditure. So I would suggest not to use him, but it would always obviously depend on your roster. But yeah, that's my honest assessment of him. He probably would be better with some extra masteries. Although, what would you take, right? You could probably take Master Hexer to extend his decreased accuracy, decreased resistance. You can't increase the duration of provoke, which is his main role mainly. You take War Master, you give him a couple more million damage. You could take Psycho Magic so you can get extra attacks in, and that's about it. I mean, you can, like, he doesn't need more stats, so any master gives him stats. Like, I have him geared out pretty well for Brutal. So yeah, you guys can be the judge of that. Hopefully you guys like this showcase. I know it's not my usual like OP champion showcase, but it's Nari Lucky. I wanted to try him out, but I think he's gonna go back in the vault. But yeah, anyways, let me know if you guys use them. Let me know what you guys think of my assessment, and I'll see you guys in the next video.